All right. Welcome to the channel. This is Milkman Comics. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I'm calling the. Excuse me, calling the motherfucking uh YouTube channel. Goddamn shit, I couldn't think of what I was trying to say. Uh, First, before I do anything, I just want to apologize for this jank ass chicken scratch handwriting that I have. I just don't edit. I don't know anything on a computer. I can't work my way around it. I don't even own it. Well, I own a computer, but I don't. I mean, anyway, yeah. Good luck to myself. Let me just get that out the way. This is my first YouTube video. At least this is gonna be my first YouTube video. Um, and yeah, I just decided to make a channel. I think before I get off into actually showing off any of the actual collection that I own, I just want to give a brief little. Not, it's not gonna be brief. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be yapping. Like, it's gonna be a yap fest. I speak Japanese. But essentially, I wanted to make the channel because, well, I just wanted something to do. I'm not really doing this for any, like, getting rich purposes or anything like that. I mean, if I'm being honest, I wanted another hobby to have that I could, also, I wanted something that was going to, like, make me consistent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to be consistent with filming. I got to be consistent with editing and posting and engaging with the audience that I hopefully can garner. Um, no guy. And then I've always wanted to make some kind of YouTube creative outlet. You know, I kind of I needed to do something. I used to make music. Maybe I'll put some music at the beginning of this video. Um, and essentially, I just need to put out, you know what I'm saying? My creative vision. And what better way than comic books? Because I like to read them, and I know people like to listen to people yap about them. So hopefully, you're going to join me on this ride. A little brief history about my where began with comic books. I'll be completely honest. I did not start reading comic books fully until this past year, 2024. And the reason for that was straight up because it's not that I didn't have an interest in, it's just because I felt like it wasn't something that I could easily accessibly get into. And if I'm being honest, it's really not. I think it's really hard to start reading comic books as a new reader, but I want to make it to where I think it's actually a very easy, depending on how you look at it. And what I mean by that is that's pretty much what I'm actually showing off today. The beginning of how I started reading comic books was straight up. I got fucking sick of like not knowing. Like, I mean, I would be looking at, like, for example, Batman 120 was out at that point. And I'm like, man, I like Batman, but I love Batman, as a matter of fact. But I don't want to start reading from, 120 issues before that. So what better way than Omnibus and trade paperbacks and collected editions, whatever the hell you really want to call them, a collection of comic books of single issues, in my opinion, is the best way to read comic books. I think it's the number one way, in my opinion. I mean, you can argue with your bearded granny. That's just my opinion. I think that's what it is. You know, I don't give a fuck what people think. That's what I believe, and I'm sure a lot of people will definitely agree. But to each their own. You know, some people say you got to collect every single issue, which I think is kind of silly, but whatever. Nobody is silly. Anyway, well, I'm silly. Anyway, let's crack open this Diet Coke I got here. Let me give that a quick sip. Yeah, that's good shit. So yeah, excuse me, I apologize. Excuse me. So yeah, I'd only started reading last year in 2024. So I got into it very late. I never read as a kid, but as a kid, I always loved superheroes. Loved, loved, loved. I have dozens and dozens and dozens of pictures of me wearing old vintage Spider-Man shirts. I grew up loving the Sam Raimi films, and I watched a lot of the animated TV shows that were coming out. And I loved Batman. I loved the Christopher Nolan trilogy. I watched the Tim Burton stuff that came out. I'm gonna lie for this, but I even liked the. Sorry, if there's any background noise, by the way. There's people that live here with me. I got a jank set up. I apologize for that as well. In any case, I even like the George Clooney stuff. Even, yes, with the bat nipples and all that. They're garbage, but they're like my garbage. You know what I'm saying? I can't hate on them. So essentially, I had started reading last year. Whenever I don't know. I got bored one day, and I had been going to comic stores, and I had been like, you know what? I'm gonna start collecting some of these. to read them because I didn't feel like going into getting single issues. So I would look at their deals that they had. I would look at whatever omnibuses they had. I would ask for recommendations. I'm kind of losing track of myself for a second here. Let me go back. But yeah, I had never read as a kid. I didn't grow up reading them. I dabbled in a few that I saw. I think my cousin, when I went to my grandmother's house, he had a few, like random, like I think he had a lot of Dark Horse and Image stuff. He didn't actually have too much Marvel and DC. I do actually remember I think he had a lot of Spawn. Anyway, so I didn't dabble in a lot in comic books. I read very little growing up as a child, to today. So I decided I was just gonna start reading Omnibus trade paperbacks, collected editions, because you can start reading a whole story. You can read an entire from beginning, middle to end. And I like that, you know what I'm saying? So I decided to just start doing that. So I started with Batman, then I went into Superman, then I went into random, characters that I was interested in, and I decided I wanted to try. I'm not going to lie, most of my collection consists of Batman. I don't have too many independents, which is actually what these books are right here, which I'm going to start with. But I'm meaning to. So from then on, that's when I finally started reading single issues. And now I have stacks upon stacks. I have over 500 books now of single issues that I've been collecting ever since then. I know that's a lot, just in 1 year, but I mean, I was going crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I've calmed down a little bit since then. But I love comic books. I love reading them. I've read some of my favorite stories that I've already written, read of all time, just in about a year now, a little less than a year now, that I've read. And what was I saying? I don't know what the fuck I was saying. Shit, goddamn. This is a work in progress. I apologize if I'm incohesive. But yeah, essentially, I wanted to make a channel. I wanted to portray my collection. I'm going to be doing all kinds of videos. As far as, it's going to be mainly comic book focused, but I'm thinking about doing other type of stuff. Gaming related, maybe. I love building Gundam. I have a lot of Gundam sets I could build on this little grid. This is actually what I have this grid for. But, I mean, I don't know. Who knows? We'll figure it out. It's kind of a work in progress as it's going. I don't even technically know the channel name, but I'll probably have it, obviously, as you see in this video. So yeah, I'm collecting them. I'm probably going to do some vlogging maybe on it, depending on some things. I don't know. We'll see. Again, it's a work in progress. I don't fucking know. But yeah, essentially, I'm going to be going through my trade paperback and Omnibus, whatever collection. I'm going to just call it Omnibus collection. I don't actually know the pure amount that I have, but I want to say it's around 20 something. I think I'm probably going to count as I go, but it's around 20 something. And I'm not going to lie, I actually haven't bought a big book in a while because I've just been so busy focused on getting single issues, and that kind of is the bulk of my spending purchase on comic books nowadays. But at the start I was going crazy. Let me also say, excuse me, I think I have ADHD or something. I find it so hard to read. So single issues are kind of easier for me to read because I can kind of split them up and read them throughout the day. I can, I read them sometimes at work, at lunch. Sometimes I sneak them in the shitter while I'm in there. I don't know. There's just, I have a headlamp that I read in my bed. There's just lots of ways. I mean, you can with the books, but I feel like it's kind of harder because they're just so much bigger and thicker and heavier, like me. And so, essentially, I find myself not being able to read a lot of these. Don't get me wrong, I've read a good amount of these. I've read at least a quarter of these, I'd say. So a lot of these I actually haven't read, so I apologize about that. But if you like some of these books, tell me if you like them. Let me know if you recommend them. Obviously, I've already purchased them because, again, I was going crazy with the spending because I wanted to read all these stories. And I will eventually. I am definitely going to read these at some point, but I'm actually in a big omnibus right now that I'll get to later that I'm reading. What am I trying to say? That it's going to take a long time before I'm able to read some of these other ones. So I've also started some of these and not finished them, so I'm going to probably say that throughout some of the video. I'm yapping. I should probably get started. sometime soon. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, all that shit. I don't like the cringe YouTube kind of side of stuff. So we'll start off with I guess we'll start off with I don't know if I want to do like bring a stack and then do that like that. No, I'll bring one book at a time. So right here we have a beat up ass copy of Hack Slash Omnibus Volume 1 from Image Comics. This is essentially about a girl. Her name is Cassandra Hack. I believe is her name. Again, I don't know. Also, another thing you guys should know about me. This is going to be a recurring theme throughout the channel. I am horrible with names. I am horrible with names in the books. I find myself having a horrible time remembering names because it's so hard to remember names and artists and writers and titles and superhero names and alter ego names. And then not on top of that, you got a character like fucking Psylocke that's technically two people, you know. It's just like, it becomes a lot to deal with. It becomes a lot to keep up with. So if you correct me in the comments, but don't roast me, please. What else am I going to say? And so, yeah, again, this is a beat up ass copy. I apologize about that, but I'm going to, I actually want to collect these individually. That is probably going to be a bitch and a half though, because I don't see a lot of these out in the wild. Surprisingly enough, for some reason, I don't see a lot of these. But essentially though, I haven't read a lot of these. I'll tell you if I haven't or not, and you can tell me what you think about them. You can tell me what you thought about them. Don't give me any spoilers, obviously. Obviously, I mean, these stories are some of these are like 10 plus years old, whatever. But essentially, yeah, tell me what you think about them, and then also give me recommendations. I've been looking for a lot of recommendations recently, mainly in the independent scene. Because I find myself, I kind of know what stories I want to start reading as far as DC and Marvel. For the most part, you can also recommend me some underrated, more, you know, niche, more niche stuff. Jesus Christ, Lord. Let me get a little sippy here. Best drink in the world. Don't argue. Excuse me. But yeah, mainly independent. And if you have any recommendations for any artist or writers or artists, for that matter, that you want to recommend to me, you know, go ahead and do that. I would really appreciate that because, again, I haven't read a lot of these. I'm very new, so you guys are going to be on this journey with me, and I'm very happy to start this journey. You guys are going to start on this journey with me, so I don't know everything there is to know, but I'm going as the days progress on, learning and reading, and yeah, this is just going to be these are going to be the Jesus fuck. Sorry, this is going to be the channel showing that, you know, portraying that this journey that you guys are going to be on with me, hopefully. So yeah, I'll stop yapping. We got Hack Slash Omnibus Volume 1 from Image Comics. I actually don't know who oh, by Tim Steele. I've actually heard of him. Tim Steele. He's done a lot of good stuff from what I remember. Sam Wells. He sounds familiar as well. Again, I'm horrible with names. And Stefano Caselli. I've heard of him as well. So yeah, essentially this is about this chick. She goes around with a guy. His name is, yeah, he's right here. I'll show off some of the art as well. I don't know why I didn't think of doing that. But yeah, his name is Hack. And yeah, it's called Hack. Excuse me, his name is Slash. He's a Russian hulking motherfucker. And essentially they just go around and they hunt down serial killers. That's like their whole premise. That's what they do. So they obviously set up schemes to hunt down the serial killers throughout the different stories. And I've been enjoying this. I've only read about halfway through this so far, but I've been really liking it. I like how they're kind of honing in on the fact that Cassandra's kind of got a fucked up past. Her mother was a crazy killer lunch lady woman, if I remember right. I think they show it later in the couple issues here. And this art is great. I just love it. It's such a great story. I think it's a bit of an underrated story. I've always thought that this would make for a really good live action adaptation. But yeah, these are all the different serial killers that they kind of, you know, they killed throughout. And she's basically explaining here, you know, what their job is. They don't really have a job, but they just go around killing the serial killers. And that's pretty much the premise of the series. And there's lots and lots of issues. It's very campy. It's very like if you're into very cheesy, you know, grotesque, over violent, you know, hypersexualized violence in the horror setting. Like if you like a lot of the Friday the 13th stuff, you'll love this. If you like, you know, what is it, Sleepaway Camp, I think you'll love this. It's a very niche target audience, I'd say, as far as people enjoying it. For the most part, I think a lot of people do enjoy it from what I've read online. But I'd give it a read if you're interested in something a little different than your normal superhero stuff. Oh, we're gonna look. I guess I got to about here. I don't know what issue this is. Oh, I remember they were at a party in the beach, doing something. But yeah, great story so far. I would recommend it. And then I also, because again, I haven't even finished reading this, but I also picked up volume 2 of that. So yeah, I actually don't know anything about this one. I'm pretty sure it's still Tim Seeley and everything. Yeah, Tim Seeley, and I'm sure he's still doing the writing and everything. I will say though, a lot of the art is very varied throughout. Very varied. It's very diverse throughout a lot of the issues. You might have already seen that. I need to slow down. I noticed that. I need to slow down. I've noticed that a lot of the art is a lot different throughout the issues. And I'm wondering if that's kind of a choice or if that's kind of what just happened. I'm not judging. I like all this art. I mean, none of this art is inherently bad. But some is better than the other ones, so I'll be honest. But in any case, though, yeah. I'd give it a read if I were you. I like it a lot. So far, I haven't read the whole thing yet. You guys can let me know what you think. I hope I don't get. I'm probably should stop flipping through this. I'm gonna get demonetized. Jesus Christ. All right, next we got a character that I like, but I know very little about. But I'm reading her current ongoing, and I'm enjoying it. And I want to go back and dip my toes into some of her older stuff, which is Witchblade. I don't know very much about this character. I do actually vividly remember watching her television show on cable, if you can believe that. I'm not that old, but that's like some old man shit to say that I actually had cable growing up for a little bit. My mom kind of had it on and off because of issues. But anyway, I don't want to get deep. But anyway, unless it's your mama. But anyway, fucking A. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Witchblade Rebirth Volume 1. I have no idea what this actually is, but I remember vividly, not vividly, but I do remember exactly how I got this, retained this. This went for brand new $10. I got this for like $4 on a deal because it was the deal that they were doing at my LCS, my local comic shop. I know the slang, guys. Oh, that was cringe. Anyway. And, oh god, this spine is fucked. Jesus Christ, when did that happen? Oh my goodness, don't look at that. Oh, goodness. Goodness me. But yeah, I'm reading Witchblade, the current ongoing, series. If I'm being honest, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I actually have this, I think it's the 7th issue out right now that I need to read. Again, hopefully I don't get monetized here. But I really like this art style here. I don't know what the timeline is. If this is a new series, if this is like a collection of something from an ongoing from wherever before. But it's called Rebirth, so I'd imagine this is like the one from, what is it, 2020 something? God damn, I'm gonna get demonetized. But there's so much shit. Jesus Christ. So yeah, essentially, I don't know anything about this character, but again, I vividly remember watching some of the episodes of her television show, and I do like the character, like the fact that she gets this crazy power and it gives her these enhanced abilities and these enhanced everything. But that's kind of that's the basis of the character I know from the newer run. But people tell me that they like where the story went and they like the story of Witchblade. I'm gonna get demonetized, Jesus Christ. But essentially, I couldn't tell you. But let me know what you guys think, and let me know if you recommend any or don't recommend any of the Witchblade stuff from the past, and let me know what you think about the new ongoing. I think I'm very interested in what people think about that because I personally think it's just all right. Well, we'll see. And then from here we actually have Hellboy, by Mike Magnola. Jesus Christ. This is basically, it's actually, I think this is one of the first things from what it says on the back here that showcases all the stories in chronological order. Fuck. Anyway, Jesus. Yeah, so this goes through the story of Hellboy. I never read any Hellboy comics. I got through, I think, a good third of this book so far. I got introduced to the character through the films. I absolutely fucking love Guillermo del Toro. Guillermo del Toro. Jesus Christ, I can't speak today. I'm sorry. But I vividly remember my grandma actually took me to see both films when they came out in theaters. Shout out my grandma. Shout out Ron Perlman. But yeah, shout out Guillermo del Toro. But yeah, essentially, I didn't know anything about this character as far as comic book wise, so I was very excited to get this book. I actually have a good memory of my dad took me on a cruise with my family, and I remember reading this in the library because they were out doing a bunch of bullshit, and I was like, or they were all sick actually. They were in their fucking cabins, and I was like, man, this is boring as hell. So I was like, let me go do something a little less boring, but still boring, and go to the library and go read Hellboy. And I remember people in there were just playing this board game in there. They were being loud as fuck. I'm like, you really came on a cruise to come to a library and fucking play a board game? Like, what the fuck? I don't know. But I will say, there was a really great night where I got drunk as fuck. I got pizza, I ate ice cream, and I got popcorn. I was sitting on the deck watching Oppenheimer. Beautiful time. It was just, that was like, if I could go back to that and relive that moment forever, I would. It was so awesome. That was great. Everyone was so sick, though. It was so lonely, but it was also kind of cool. I don't know if I'd ever go on a cruise again. But yeah, essentially, I very much love this character and what just the Hellboy character is. So reading some of these are very cool, and I'm excited to get to the Crooked Man. I haven't seen, by the way, the new movie that came out. I think it was direct to DVD. I don't remember hearing anything about it going to theaters. I think it was, or direct to streaming. Sorry. Again, I'm old man, boomer, fucking shit. But I'm not even that old. I'm 23. But essentially, I'm 23. But essentially, yeah, I think the two movies were great, and I wanted to go back and I wanted to read some of these. And these have been incredible so far. The art is fantastic. The writing is on point. I love the world building and story building with a story, with it. It's just great. I've always loved the characters of a lot of the in the Hellboy universe. As far as what is the BPD, I think is what it is. And I was interested to learn even more about it as far as this lore. Because if you think about it, like, you can go for face value as far as some of the Batman movies and the Iron Man or whatever. But with Hellboy, this is just scratching the surface as far as his actual character and a lot of stuff and his universe. Because, like, Ape Sapien has his own fucking ongoing. He has multiple stories. These are just collected. These are from all kinds of different stuff. He has so much lore, so much stuff going on for him. Hellboy is such a wider branch of a character, I guess. As is a lot of the, even, as is a lot of the more, even the more known characters. I mean, Hellboy's known, but you get what I'm saying. So yeah, I've been enjoying this so far. I need to finish it, and I need to get started on a lot of the BPD stuff, a lot of the Ape Sapien stuff. There's just like so much more other stuff that I need to get into. And tell me, you guys, if there's any stories or any specific stuff that you recommend for me to read into this. This basically just goes throughout different stories of Hellboy and him being in Mexico with the luchadors, him, hunting down the monsters. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all I gotta say about that one. Let me know what you think about Hellboy. And if you recommend anything. That's pretty much, unfortunately, I fear that is all of my independent stuff. I know, fucking sue me, but that's all I have. As far as that, as far as independent stuff, which is really unfortunate. Again, I would like to get into more independent stuff. Let me know what you recommend. But I will say, if you're going to recommend me something, try to keep it more, superhero-y in tone. Like, for the most part, with some action. Like, do I like some of the artsy-dartsy shit that comes out? Yeah, but I'm not trying to read fucking, I don't know. I'm not trying to read some bullshit. I just want to make that clear. But I am open to a lot of things, though. So if you think that, if I say that, but you can still recommend it, and I can look into it and see if it's something I'd be interested in. So I take that back to an extent, but I don't like super really pretentious stuff. You know what I'm saying? I guess is what I can say. I guess take that for whatever you want. Okay, so next I think we're going to go to DC, or Marvel, actually, because that's my second smallest collection. Even though there's like 50 million books with those. Actually, I don't have that many now that I think about it. But yeah, we'll get started with some of the DC stuff, or excuse me, goddamn Marvel. And when it comes to Marvel, you're probably gonna see a recurring theme here, and it's that I haven't read all of these, but that's with a lot of these throughout DC, Marvel, and most of us independent. I read some of them. But yeah, anyway, let me just get started. We got Wolverine Deluxe Edition by Chris Claremont and Frank Miller. I love Frank Miller. He's one of my favorite writers ever. Chris Claremont, I'm actually not very familiar with a lot of his stuff, but I know he's very known for his X-Men stuff that he did. I think he did probably the most well-reviewed X-Men run, I think, of all time with him and I think Jim Lee. If I remember, he did some of the art, or maybe later on he did some of the art. But this essentially gets Wolverine his very first, if I remember, if I'm saying correctly, his very first ongoing after his introduction in Hulk. I think this is his first. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it collects number 1 through 4, and then Uncanny X-Men from 1981, 172 to 173, and yeah, it just collects those stories. And if I'm being honest, I think the earliest thing I really read, that's another thing I probably should point out. I haven't read a lot of old stuff as far as any of the characters that I like. I think the oldest thing I've ever read was, well, I kind of don't want to spoil it, but it was Animal Man. I think from the 80s as well. And that's kind of like the earliest I've ever really read as far as comic books. I'm more of a modern 2010s, 2000s guy. Unfortunately, I read some of the late 90s stuff as well, but I don't know how to explain it. I haven't really had an interest in a lot of the older things, because especially from the Silver Age, I find really hard to read. Not hard to read, but I find it harder to read, and I feel like it's I don't want to say more of a chore, but it is something that I kind of had to I need to put a filter on to be able to read it, if that makes any sense. Maybe I'm just a fucking, millennial, or not millennial. Maybe I'm just a fucking, I don't know, goddamn young kid with a fucking Vine attention span, or not Vine. I'm saying boomer shit again. Fucking TikTok attention span, even though it's about to get banned, I think this Sunday. But yeah, anyway, I'm yapping. Jesus fuck. This basically is 1 through 4 and another short story of Wolverine and his character. I have not read these yet, but I just picked it up because I think it was on sale. I picked up a lot of this stuff. I'm not gonna lie, like 78% of this stuff for retail, because again, I was going crazy. But some of this I got on sale. I think I got this on sale. I could be wrong. I mean, and this is probably what, $20? Yeah, $20. Whatever. And yeah, it just details I love Frank Miller, so I'll pick up anything that he writes, really. And it just goes through his story of where he was in Japan, and damn, he's fucking caked up right here for whatever reason. Lord have mercy. And yeah, it just details those stories. I mean, there's not really much I can say about it. I mean, let me know if you guys like this. Let me know if you have any Wolverine runs that you really like. I think the only other one that I'm really interested in, I should not to say the only other one, I'm interested in quite a few, but the only one I can think of off the top of my head that I'm really interested, I'm talking really fast, sorry. Anyway, Jason Aaron, there's a run that he did. He's one of my all-time favorite writers right now, and even from some of his earlier stuff. But yeah, essentially, I would like to read the Wolverine run by Jason Aaron. Let me know if you guys have any other runs or any other stories or whatever from Wolverine. I love Wolverine. I think he's a great character. Kind of wish he has a little too much sauce right now. I feel like they kind of need to ease up on the stories by him, because I feel like he's just in everything right now. He's kind of become a little oversaturated, but I digress. Anyway, there's Wolverine by Frank Miller, Chris Claremont. The next one we have is, I'll just show it for now, but it's Extreme X-Men. I think this is also, yeah, Chris Claremont. This art is fucking fantastic. I think this is actually from the Krakoa era, from Extreme X-Men from 2022, number 1 through 5, by Chris Claremont, Salvador LaRocca, and Guru FX. So, I think that a lot of the Krakoa stuff is interesting, but I've also heard mixed reactions about it. I got into the X-Men universe, the mutant universe. Oh, I mean, I actually did watch a lot of the animated stuff, and I love the movies growing up, obviously. But that was kind of it as far as my introduction to the character. Oh, and I love, I'm a big fighting game guy, so Marvel vs. Capcom was a big thing in for me. And so that's kind of why, another reason why I just love superheroes. I hate to kind of shoot back to what I was saying before, but I just love superheroes. I grew up loving superheroes. I don't think I honed in on that enough. I just never read comics, but I loved superheroes. Growing up, I fucking loved them. I loved all the movies. I watched all the superhero movies that came out. And yeah, that's why I'm kind of really wanted to get actually reading comic books. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I didn't read a lot of I haven't heard a lot of fantastic things about the Krakoa era stuff of X-Men. I've heard that a lot of it is kind of slop. That could just be some, neo-Nazi motherfucker that I saw on Reddit saying that. But I've heard that there is also some good stuff. Like, I think Marauders was very highly reviewed. I think, what is it? What other stuff was highly reviewed during this era? I don't know. But this looked really interesting. And again, I think I got this for a deal. And yeah, look at the Storm on there. A lot of this art is just fucking absolutely awesome. But I've heard that Chris Claremont during this, or was it Grant Morrison? I think either one of those two guys, they basically made this a little too dark for people's taste. I don't know if it was this or if it was something else. But it looks like it could have been this. But essentially, though, I just saw the artwork in it and I was like, I got to pick this up. I have no idea what this is. And I was like, let me just get started with the Krakoa era stuff, because the only thing I've really been reading is a lot of the From the Ashes storylines that have been coming out last year. And so, yeah, I just decided to go back a little bit, but I haven't read this yet. But I'm going to. I actually really want to. I actually have a book. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. I actually have a book. What am I trying to say? God damn, a note on my phone that my guy hooked me up with at the local comic book store, at my local store. And he basically gave me his own little reading order of what he would recommend. And a little bit of stuff sprinkled in that he said I might like, because he kind of knows my taste. I'm cool like that. I'm kind of a celebrity at my LCS now. Anyway, they all just know my name, kind of. The GM knows my name, which is pretty fucking cool. Anyway, enough sucking my own cock. But essentially, I want to get into more of the Krakoa era stuff, because the post-Krakoa stuff is kind of, again, more of what my sauce is right now, more of what I've been reading. And I want to get into what happened during the Krakoa era, because I've heard divisive things about it, and I would like to give my own 2 cents and read a lot of this stuff, because I wasn't reading at this point. And we'll see if I continue actually liking it or not. Oh, look at that Peach Momoko variant. Fantastic. But yeah, and so, yeah. We'll move to the next one. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys recommend any Krakoa era stuff. And yeah, just let me know. I think my family is about to walk in, so excuse the noise that you're about to hear. Yeah. Okay, the next thing we got, let me take a little sip. After I take a swig, is Ultimate Spider-Man. This is the trade paperback, volume 1. This one's called Power and Responsibility. They're being really loud. I'm gonna have to pause the video. Let me do that. Pause the video for a second. All right, welcome back. I had to go to them like a strict parent and be like, all right, guys, I need to say this as respectfully as possible, but you need to keep it down. We'll see if they do. You might hear something crazy being said by them. But essentially, I lost my train of thought, man. Jesus. Yeah, so this is by Brian Michael Bendis, however you say it. Ultimate Spider-Man, in my opinion, is... I don't have too much say necessarily, because I haven't read a lot of the other stuff that has come out. But I have gone through videos and essays about people's interpretation of this run, of the current Zeb Wells stuff, the Todd McFarlane run, who was it? Was it J. Michael Straczynski run? I've heard people have told me to read that one. There's a lot of divisive. Honestly, I'm always surprised by Spider-Man being a very divisive character as far as the quality of his comic books, which is so funny to me, because he's one of the most popular characters in all of history. I mean, history, not just comic books or heroes, but history. And yet, he's just so highly renowned. And that's straight up because, I think, in my opinion, because of the movies, the television shows, and his marketing ability, right? People just love him. But his comic books are honestly for the most part, except for this run, I really love Ultimate Spider-Man. This one essentially, in this universe, it's basically a modern interpretation, and by modern I mean this came out in the year 2000. I wasn't even born yet, but of Peter Parker and how he came to be, and the how he got his spider bite, and it basically goes through him and his origin story that we all know and love and maybe hate because we might have seen too much. And essentially, yeah, it's just a more modern, and when I say modern, the original storyline of Peter Parker and how he got, his powers came out in the 1960s, I think, at this point, right? So, modern for this time. But I love it so far. I have read, I don't want to spoil it, but I have a bigger edition of this, let's just say that. Spoiler alert. So I've read through, I think now, 50? No, maybe not 50. It's been about 30 something issues now that I've gone through so far. And I've enjoyed every minute of it. This ride has been awesome. Peter in this one is pretty what am I trying to say? More grounded, I'd say, because I feel like a lot of stories that are coming out now, he kind of deals with a lot of other heroes. This was the start of the Ultimate Universe. And so he does his own thing. He's a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He's figuring out everything. He's in wrestling matches. This book alone inspired so much of what came out later in the movies and a lot of the stuff, a lot of animation, whatever you want to call it, that has been come out after this. So influential, so great. It's ultimate. It's I don't know what I was trying to make a thing there. Anyway, sorry, that was cringe. But yeah, so I very much enjoy this run. Brian Michael Bendis, however you say it, is a great, fantastic writer. The art in this is absolutely incredible. This is by, who does the art? What is it? Is his name Mr. What the hell is his name? I'm so upset. I don't remember the gentleman's name. It will come back to me. I know it's not. Yeah, I'm so mad at myself for not knowing. But yeah, this basically collects number 1 through, what is it, 6 or 7? 1 through 7 of Ultimate Spider-Man from 2000. And I cannot recommend Ultimate Spider-Man enough. I think if you can get this or the other versions, I don't want to spoil it. I would definitely recommend. This is a great starting point for anybody that wants to start reading a comic book from Spider-Man. I really don't recommend any of the new Amazing Spider-Man stuff that's coming out. Unfortunately, it's not very good. Because I started reading it, but I kind of gave up because they're not good. They're not good. Zeb Wells' his run is kind of lackluster. I would also recommend the new Ultimate Spider-Man that's been coming out by Jonathan Hickman. But that's off topic. That's a whole other thing for a whole other day. Read this. It's fantastic. Let me know what you think. Also, let me know what you think about the other Ultimate stuff. I feel like it's very divisive, but I actually like some of the Ultimate line. From what I read. Daredevil, The Man Without Fear by Frank Miller with art by John Romita Jr., who's actually pretty popular for doing a lot of Spider-Man stuff. Anyway, this is a sealed copy, if you couldn't tell. I actually have read this. I have another unsealed version that I read because I didn't realize I bought this twice. And I gave it to my boy that I live with here. He likes it a lot. I like this a lot. It's fantastic. The art is great. The story is great. It kind of, from what I've seen, again, I haven't read too much of a lot of Daredevil. I've been really, as far as Daredevil runs, I know I definitely want to read. I know Brian Michael Bendis did a run with Daredevil. I do want to read that. Bendis, how the fuck you say it? Frank Miller obviously did his run, which I read this story and I've read some of the other stuff they come out with. It's fantastic. I know that Chip Zdarsky, his actually I think it was the run right before the one we have now with Ahmed, I think is his last name. I don't know his first name. And I haven't really necessarily been enjoying this. I think it's now, I read number, what is it, 17 now that it came out that I read. I actually read that today. And I think it's been okay. But I will say a lot of the older stuff is very, very, very good. Especially this right here, The Man Without Fear. I think this is a quintessential Daredevil story. I think if you're ever going to do a Daredevil adaptation or want to just start picking up on the character at all, start with this. It's just so fantastic. It details his origin story, and he actually doesn't even, it's so good. It's going to actually sound like a downside, but he doesn't even get his Daredevil suit to like the last couple pages because it's detailing how he, it's just world building with him and Kingpin, and essentially his backstory as far as, how he became Daredevil, and it's fantastic. The art is great. I can't really show you because it's sealed. I don't want to open it necessarily, but it's already got a crack in there. Maybe I'll open it, but probably not. And yeah, I highly recommend this. If you ever want to read Daredevil, or if you never read this, I think you should. It's great. Yep. Yuppers. And then we got Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood. This is the only one I've ever really had as far as the Black, White, and Blood line. I think there's actually a green one with Alien. I know Daredevil or Deadpool has one. I think Spider-Man has one, but it's black suit something. Maybe I don't know if this is part of the same line, but essentially this gets different creators and puts them in different art styles. But it all has this. There's this Wii game that does this where they only have red as the color shown and everything else is in black and white. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Like, look at some of this art. And yeah, it's not a cohesive story as far as it. It's actually different stories by different artists and writers, kind of all jumbled up into different issues. So Wolverine goes through different stories, or through different trials and tribulations, and it's all different art styles. If I remember correctly, right? They're different art styles and they're different writers and stuff. Here's number 3. No, they look kind of the same for the most part. But yeah, and essentially it just goes, and it's just this art style throughout. And it's different stories. None of them are connected. And it's great. I haven't read this in a while, but I do remember reading this at some point. I like it. I recommend it. I think it's a good little just throwaway kind of, if you just want to read something cool. It's not the greatest thing ever, but I recommend it. But here, now we have some peak. Now we got some shit that just makes me wet, makes me rock hard. We got Fantastic Four by Ryan North. This is from the 2023 or 2022 run? Yeah, 2022 that started, because now they're on 20-something, I think 26 issues at this point. I have been really, really, really trying to hone in on reading Fantastic Four because there is so much good shit that comes out with it. You got the Jonathan Hickman stuff. Did Brian Michael Bendis do a version of a take on Fantastic Four? I could be wrong. I think Mark Miller did one. No, he did Ultimate Fantastic Four. Did he? I don't know. Recommend me some stuff. I can't think of the top of it. I can't think of it at the top of my tongue about some of the other runs from Fantastic Four that I've been meaning to read. I actually do. I will say, however, I've been really wanting to read the Jack Kirby stuff because I want to see, even go as far back as that and read their origin story in that. But essentially, yeah, this is such a good story. It's very, it's so good as far as the character relations between these characters. And yeah, it's just fantastic. I can't recommend it enough. The art is great. A lot of these covers are done by Alex Ross. And so Iban Coelho, I think is what his name is, and Ivan Ferrelli. I think they had different artists now, but the art isn't fantastic. Look at these covers by Alex Ross. And yeah, essentially the Fantastic Four kind of got split up because of a whole thing that happened with Reed Richards. And everyone got mad at him. I don't really want to spoil it. I mean, it's in the first issue or it's in the second issue. He essentially, there was the Baxter building. There was an issue with that. And he ended up having to, do this time warp loop thing. It's been a while since I've read this. I'm not going to lie. Because I've been catching up on other stuff. And I've just been forgetting about this, neglecting to get it. Oh, another thing, too. I do have a lot of back issue stuff that I need to read. But essentially, yeah, no, it basically is them being mad at Reed Richards and the team kind of reconciling and coming back together, which they do, obviously, otherwise there wouldn't be an ongoing. And the first 4 issues are obviously what the 4 are, I guess, the second issue, I believe, goes with Reed and Sue and them in this town. This issue has to do with the Thing and his wife. I really am upset with myself that I forgot her name. And them in this town where they're stuck in a time loop, so they've been kind of repeating everything over and over, and they're trying to figure out why. And then the second issue is them in this town. Oh man, I'm just getting reminded about how fantastic Ryan North's writing is. It's so good. I also want to read the Squirrel Girl run that he did. It is just immaculate, and he's coming out now with I believe he's doing a lot of the One World Under Doom stuff that's coming out now. And so I'm really wanting to read that just because Ryan North is a creator that I'm so interested in now because of this run, explicitly. I just can't recommend it enough. It's great. The art is great. It's so heartfelt and very homey. It's very like I don't know. It's very upbeat, but also has a lot of implications, a lot of stakes at it. It's just great. I love it. Can't recommend this run enough. I would say get the trade paperbacks or read them online. Whatever you got to do. I think it's great, and you should. It's still going on. They're still releasing books to this day of this run. So. Yeah, I'd say it's good. And speaking of the current Daredevil, I probably should have done this in that order. But Daredevil, this is from the series that came out in 2023. They're at issue number 17 now. And this essentially collects number 1 through 6, I believe is what it said. 1 through 5, actually. And so in the beginning of this story, Matt Murdock is just fresh off getting revived, if I remember correctly. He just died in the Chip Zdarsky run. But it's Marvel. It's fucking superhero. It's action stuff. They're always gonna revive him. You know, Daredevil has probably been revived 20 times at this point. As a more Diet Cookie, and essentially the different 7 deadly sins. They go into different characters of Matt Murdock. His people that he knows. I think one of them goes into Elektra. I don't want to spoil. One of them goes into a green person. I'm not gonna let you guys deduce that on your own. And essentially, this is Matt Murdock's kind of new ongoing that started. Here's Elektra, as you can see. She's kind of like indifferent because he is Daredevil, but he is Matt Murdock, but it's not the exact same Matt Murdock she knew. Actually, the Matt Murdock she knew was right here. This guy right here, and he looks a little different, but he's still the same guy. He's just revived because I think Matt Murdock made a deal with God or something. I don't remember how he got revived as far as in this storyline, but yeah, essentially this is detailing the first. Oh yeah, this is actually her right here. This is Elektra. She got overtaken by this demon, and Matt Murdock needs to cleanse them because he's a priest now, and he runs this little facility for helping troubled kids. And rehabilitating them. I mean, they're not on drugs or anything. That's a bad word. Anyway, so yeah, essentially this is that. I think people are indifferent about this run. I like it a lot more than people let on. I think a lot of people are kind of shitting on this run so far. But, I mean, it's got enough to where it's got 17 issues now. And I think it's good. I think it could be better. It's subpar in some areas. But the art is pretty damn good. The story, I feel like it could be a lot better. There he is in his full get-up now. But, you know, who am I to judge as far as someone that's only read really just the Frank Miller run? I want to read the Chip Zdarsky. I want to read the Bindi run. But I'm going to get to that stuff at some point. And, so this is that current ongoing. And I recommend it. I think if you like the Daredevil character for whatever reasons that you might have, and you're newer to comic book reading, or if you're a big comic book guy and you might not necessarily like it, but I recommend it regardless. I think it's good. Yeah. And then we have, this is, I don't know, I'm wondering if I should put these side by side. I think I will, because these go hand in hand. This is basically the trade paperback that collects all the issues of Daniel Way, Ghost Rider. And from here, they went to Jason Aaron. And this is all a complete run. I think it is. I've only read this so far and a little bit of the Jason Aaron stuff. But I've heard that this gets really fucking good. And I fucking love Jason Aaron. I love almost everything that he really comes out with. He's making Absolute Superman right now, which has been fantastic. He wrote, he's writing Namor right now, which I also think is fantastic. Excuse me. He just wrote a lot of great, fantastic stuff. I think that he's kind of an underrated writer, in my opinion. He's done a lot of the TMNT stuff right now. He's just, in my opinion, he went on a generational run last year, in my opinion. I keep saying it. In my opinion, blah, blah, blah. Anyway. So yeah, Daniel Way, and it starts off in this run. Let me actually just show this book so far. Right now. And yeah, it just basically goes through Johnny Blaze. He's in hell with Mephisto. And essentially, he wants to escape hell. He wants to get out. And God, I almost said God. And the devil, Mephisto, is like, well, I'll let you out, but I want to do it for a reason. So he tries to escape. He don't let him. And he's like, I'm going to let you get out, but I'm going to do it for my purposes that I need. I haven't read this in a minute, so I don't actually know exactly. But this art is fantastic. The storyline essentially, right? Let me just get to the point. Essentially, he gets banished out to Earth. He gets let free in Earth, right? But Mephisto sends 666 demons after him. So essentially, it's a demon of the week, right? That comes after him and he deals with it. And him kind of figuring out what he's going to do to be able to break this curse and get out of this whole thing. And that's the premise of the story. And I've always just found a deep affection for the character. I love Ghost Rider. Hell, I even liked a lot of the Nick Cage stuff, but I really liked him because of Ultimate Alliance Marvel that came out. And I kind of fell in love with the character from that. And I've always just liked like the design of the character. Like, it's just badass, bro. Everybody loves Ghost Rider as far as his design. And I think this, in my opinion, from what I've read so far, is probably the Ghost Rider run. Like, if you're ever going to read a Ghost Rider run and you want a recommendation, I recommend mainly this one, don't get me wrong, because Jason Aaron is I think he has a more concise, better story. We show some of the art in this one. And I think it's just it makes for a much better story. But that's not saying that Daniel Way didn't do his thing on before that. So yeah, it picks up from number 20 on this one and it goes to the rest of them. And I think it's great. It just, like I said, goes through and like Mephisto is fucking evil as fuck in this version. And that kind of makes for an interesting story. I think the art is a little better in the Daniel Way run, but for the most part, I think they do switch artists. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I really enjoy this run. Again, it just kind of chronicles him and the different demons that are throughout there, and who they mainly what they do is they go into a person, they inhabit a person, and they do crazy shit. There's like a part, I think it's in the Daniel Way run, where they go to like this little old-timey old lady drinking sweet tea, and they just like murdered them morbidly, and it's really fucked up, but it's like kind of badass because you see Ghost Rider pull up and start killing them. It's really cool. I think if you're ever going to read anything Ghost Rider, get these two books or get this book. If you can get both, get both. And yeah, I can't recommend these enough. I love Ghost Rider. If you're ever going to start with the character, start with this. And that's pretty much all my DC. I'm lying. I lied. You got a little bit of a cock tease earlier with this one, and I'll just show it. Ultimate Spider-Man by Brian Michael Bendis, Volume 1 Omnibus. This, I mean, you kind of already said it, but it just goes throughout Ultimate Spider-Man. I kind of showed you guys some of this, so maybe I'll skip to like halfway or something. And yeah, so essentially it just goes through Ultimate Spider-Man. I think this chronologically goes through 1 through, what is it? I mean, I can just show you. Well, let me show you a little more art. Actually, send this a little better. And yeah, I just can't rave enough about this run. I think it's so fantastic. I think the art is on point, the writing is on point. I think it's so heartfelt. I think it's also just, again, I love the fact that it's a little more grounded. I feel like a lot of Spider-Man stories are kind of trying to do too much. They kind of try to do a little crazy stuff, but all I really want to see is Spider-Man dealing with issues, because that's kind of what the character was created for and what he is and what he represents. Also, I love the fact that this version of Spider-Man starts really young. I think a lot of Spider-Man stories, they kind of jump into when he's older, and I kind of like the fact that he's a very young high schooler to begin with in this one. I love that, actually. But yeah, this one, oh yeah, look at that with Doc Ock. It's so sick. This art is fantastic. This shit is great. I can't recommend it enough. But I've already glazed it enough. I've already sucked this cock enough. But yeah, this chronologically goes through 1 through 39 and 1.5. I don't know what the fuck that means. But yeah, there you go. All right, and that's one of the big boy books I have. I have another one. I have a few other ones actually. Well, I guess that's really the only big omnibus I have. No, I have 2. But here's my other one that I haven't ripped into yet, and this is Uncanny X-Force by Rick Remender. I bought this because I had a 15% off deal, and the guy told me they just got this like 2 days ago, and that someone was gonna suck this shit up if I didn't. And I was like, you know what? You're hell of a salesman, even though he just told me like basic shit. And yeah, I really wanted to read this by Rick Remender. I've heard so many great things about it. I've heard this is like the best interpretation of the Deadpool character, and I just love the lineup. Like, this lineup is just fantastic. Like, we're talking Wolverine, Deadpool, Cyclops, and then I think Angel is in this one, which again I've heard is like the best version of Angel that's ever come out with his metallic wings. As far as the character, like so you're telling me you have two characters that are like kind of mediocre as far as just their character goes. Because Deadpool, let's be honest, hasn't had the best runs of his life ever. But I've heard that they make him a much more grounded, not grounded, but they give him a character. They give him more to do. They give him more meaningful stuff to say, I think, which is I would like. I want to see. And Angel, he's kind of been shit on as far as being like kind of lame. Everyone says his powers are lame. I don't think they're that lame, but anyway. And so yeah, I think if you got two of the best versions of these characters put into a comic book as a team, how does that not be good? How is that not good if they're considered, or if at least what people are, considering this? But yeah, I'm very excited to crack this open. It's sealed. Obviously, I bought it brand new. I did pay almost full price. I think I ended up paying like one something. I paid over $100 for it. I'm not even afraid to admit it. And there's like 2 volumes of this. I think there's 2 volumes so far. But the art, I've seen some of the art, is just fantastic. I'm very, very excited to read this. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys recommend anything else. Rick Remender also is one of my favorite writers currently. He's doing Napalm Lullaby, which I really, really enjoy. And I'm excited for everything that he kind of goes to start dropping. That was a weird way of saying that he writes. Anyway. Another swig. I think we'll start on my like random DC list, because I kind of intentionally split it up into Batman, Superman, and then whatever other DC stuff I had. So let me get my fucking ass off of this chair. To answer your question, yes, I have them on the floor. I fear. Ooh, we got a half-price book special. So yeah, New 52, The Joker. I haven't read this. Again, a recurring theme. I think this essentially goes through different storylines of Batman and Batgirl and Nightwing and Batman Incorporated or whatever. Yeah. Batman Detective Comics, Batman and Robin, Batgirl, Suicide Squad, Nightwing, Raiders and Outlaws, Teen Titans, and Catwoman. So like a bunch of different storylines. And it essentially just goes throughout the stories of the New 52 of the Joker. Half-price book special. Excuse me, Lord. And, God damn, excuse me, I apologize. So yeah, the art in a lot of this stuff is incredible. And it just kind of goes through the character and I guess this is the different storylines and stuff that he's being put through. I don't know if this is exactly put in chronological order or not. But I do know that, again, it collects all the different stuff from all the different comic lines. I'm not going to have to pee. You'll have to give me a second. I'll be right back. I'm going to pause the recording again. I apologize. I'll be right back. Okay, I've emptied the tank. Hopefully there's no more interruptions. Jesus Christ, I forgot to put the microphone on. Hold on. Sorry if I'm making a lot of noise. Sorry, headphone users. Oop. And yeah, I lost my train of thought again. I apologize, guys. This is a horrible first video, but it's going to get better. I'm going to do better stuff. But yeah, this is pretty much the Joker's Chronicles throughout the New 52. Jesus Christ, what is he doing there? Lord have mercy. What was he doing? Joker was on some bullshit then, huh? And yeah, this is pretty much what that is. I haven't read it, but fuck it. We'll read it. I actually don't know too much about if people like the Joker during the New 52 stuff. I haven't heard anything good or bad. I do know a lot of the New 52 stuff was kind of hit or miss. But I think it was most of the stuff that came out was pretty damn good, especially the stuff by Scott Snyder during, I think the Batman run is fucking good as fuck. I think I really liked the, you guys might have never heard this or not. It's called Dial H for Hero. You probably have, but the interpretation of the New 52 one was, they knocked it out of the park. It was fucking awesome. I think it's the best, or top 5 in my opinion, New 52 stuff that came out, along with Aquaman, and Batgirl was one of my favorites. Obviously, everyone thinks the Batman was usually universally the best. I think Animal Man was really good as well. Anyway, I haven't read this yet, but I mean, I'm probably going to eventually at some point. That's that. We got Aquaman by Jeff Johns, New 52, Volume 1, and then we also have Volume 2 here. And essentially, I I love this run. I think it's fantastic. I think Jeff Johns is also like a very good writer. Like I think he's very precise. He knows what he wants to do. The art is fantastic. I fell in love with these books just from the moment that you read it and you open up to him, Aquaman, going up to a like diner where he lives. I forgot where they're actually from, or where it kind of takes place, and he orders fish and chips. And it just from that moment on, it kind of just really entranced me into it. And the art again is great. I think this is no, this is not, but this is by Ivan Reyes and Joe Prado. And yeah, I love the run. I think it's great. I really recommend it if you want to read anything New 52 stuff, or if you like Aquaman the character. I think this is really my only kind of sorry, the background noise are fucking off over there. But this is really my only sort of basis of the character other than the film. But I think the film sucks, so there's that. So yeah, this is my only knowledge of the character. But I think it's great knowledge to have. I think it's a great book. I'm also gonna start reading the new ongoing. They just dropped, I think the 8th, which today's the 15th, so last week. And I'm gonna read that, and I'm probably gonna enjoy that. I actually forgot to pick that up now that I think about it. Damn. And yeah, I recommend it. I think they're very good. I am gonna get the Omnibus. I've only ever read. I read this. This is what 1 through 6, and then this is what 6 through 12, 7 through 13. And I've only read this, and then a few more after that in the app, the DC app. But I want to get the Omnibus to read the. I think there's an Omnibus. I want to read more. I don't know. We'll get to it though. So yeah, there's that. Then we got Wonder Woman Loveless. I think this is actually really weird because this is like volume 3 of something. I don't actually know what this is, but I love the artwork. And again, I think I got this for a good deal. This one's by G. Willow Wilson. I really want to get the George Perez run. I think it looks awesome. But I haven't. I want to read that. I think there's a Greg Rucka run that I really want to read as well. I don't know anything about this version of the character, but I saw Cheetah on the cover, and I think I saw someone that highly reviewed it, so I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'll read it. And yeah, I think I'm going to give it a go at some point, but I also want to get started with this on something beforehand, because I don't exactly know what happens prior to all this, because it seems like it just kind of jumps into action. Anyway, there's that. This collects the final volume from the acclaimed writer G. Willow Wilson from Miss Marvel, collects Wonder Woman number 74 through 81, and features art from Jesus Marino, Tom Derenick, and Zermanico. I've heard of Zermanico actually. Yeah, the art's great. I don't know anything about the character or about this run. I know a little about the character, but yeah. Anyway, there's that. Again, I'm always going crazy. We got Swamp Thing by Alan Moore. I like a lot of Alan Moore stuff, but I've actually never read this. But I really have been meaning to because it's one of these earlier comics. Not earlier, but it's one of the older comics that I'm kind of got a little bit of a filter with. I'm kind of icky about it, but I really do like. This looks incredible. I just have never got to reading it yet, but I did pick this up, and I think there's an omnibus of this. I think there's a big back version of this, if I remember right. If you heard my stomach grumble there, I'm so hungry. I'm about to get some fucking food in a minute here. But Alan Moore is a fantastic writer, one of my all-time favorites, and obviously has created some of the most acclaimed pieces of literature in the comic book industry. So I don't think you can go wrong with this. I also am very much wanting to get into the character because it just seems like a character I'm into. I love anything nature-y. I love Animal Man. I love Beast Boy. I think I really would like to know more about this character, which is what I got this for, and I'm going to learn more about this character. This is obviously I think this is from the 80s. This collects from 1983 to 1987, a young British writer named Alan Moore revolutionized the American comic book. Yeah, so this is the first 6 volumes of the saga of the Swamp Thing. Yeah, so kind of earlier on. But yeah, no, I think I really want to read this, and I'm going to. The art looks great. The storyline is obviously going to be on point. It's Alan Moore we're talking about here. So I'll give this a go. Let me know if you guys recommend anything by Alan Moore that isn't his more well-known stuff. And I'll give it a go because I'm very much interested in the artist or the writer. And then we got something random that I picked up because it was a very impulse purchase. I think I got this at Barnes and Noble. We got Night Terrors from Dawn of DC stuff. This is by Joshua Williamson, Howard Porter, and Giuseppe Camuncoli. I don't know how you say that. This picks up, collects Night Terrors 1 through 4, Night Terrors First Blood number 1, Night Terrors Nights In number 1, and Dawn of DC Night Terrors 2023 Free Comic Book Day Special number 1. And essentially, I've only read the first 2 issues of this, if I remember. I think the first one has to do with, let me check, with Damian Wayne. And I think essentially it's like the DC characters, they go to sleep, and it basically goes through their kind of crazy dreams they have. Yeah, this is about Damian Wayne. And the art is crazy, it's wacky, it's wonky, all kinds of crazy shit happens with the characters. It kind of dives deep into their thought process, you know, what's going on in their lives, and I guess the toll it has on being a superhero. They're kind of shorter stories, but they're very good from what I remember. I think there's even newer stuff that's coming out. I kind of hope they do more with this because I really like a lot of this stuff. More, Deadman, I guess, is here for some reason. I really like a lot of this more intricate stuff, more so than just like crazy balls to the wall, balls deep in stuff that they kind of do with storylines nowadays, especially at DC. I like more in-depth stuff, you know what I'm saying? I might be sounding pretentious saying that, but I just do. I would give this a go if you were into like more, I guess, what's the word I can think? Like mind horror, I guess, is the way I can think of it. If you are looking for something a little more non-traditional as far as its storytelling, I'd say. And yeah, I think it looks great. I have never read a lot of the newer stuff. I think Wonder Woman has their own personal one. I think Power Girl had her own one, if I remember. I know the Titans definitely had a Night Terrors that they had going on. A lot of this stuff is kind of hard to keep up with, though, as far as the Night Terror stuff. So that's why I think this is probably going to be the way to go, is getting collected editions of them. And now we have the GOATs. So we have the peakest of all peak, Animal Man by Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison, fantastic writer. They just are so good. It's just peak. Animal Man, though, this is fantastic. And I think as far as just like comic books that I would recommend to someone that isn't even into comic books, I would always tell them to read this because it's like it really makes you think, but it also gives you a good surface level story, baseline story. And I love that. Especially, I kind of want to skip to it, but I also kind of don't want to. Essentially, okay, so Buddy Baker is Animal Man, and his power is essentially that he can see an animal like he can see a falcon. And if he sees it in the vicinity, he can take its powers. But he doesn't actually transform into that person or thing. He actually it just gets their powers. So he can see a deer and like start being, galloping away and stuff like that. If he's a cat, he can be really nimble, etc., etc. So it's kind of makes for an interesting character because he's considered a B-list character in the comic books. So it's kind of his struggles of becoming a part of the Justice League and his struggles with his wife and his 2 children that he has. And it's very, very character driven. It's very grounded. It's like not a lot of crazy stuff happens. I think he talks to Superman and like Martian Manhunter and stuff throughout, but he's never like, fucking fighting Darkseid in a cosmic entity's asshole, while it's shitting fucking new universes out like it's fucking just ate fresh Taco Bell. I don't know. It's like nothing crazy. No crazy shit happens throughout. And I love that. I love more grounded stuff. I love more in-depth, character-driven stuff. And this is the definition of that to me. Like, I mean, here he is fucking meeting Superman. I think about it. But Superman don't even remember his name. So it's basically the chronologicals of him. How do I keep saying that dumbass word? The chronicles of him and him growing throughout daily life, trying to, just figure shit out, man. And some crazy shit happens, and it's just fantastic. I think you can't go wrong. I kind of want to get over to what I think is, in my opinion, one of the greatest individual comic books that's ever come out. Chapter 5. This is called The Coyote Gospel. If I ever wanted to show someone lists, or just if I could pick, like if you gave me like if you gave me an option to just give someone a random book or a random single issue of a book, and if you wanted them to get into comic books, show them this. I do not think you can go wrong with showing them the Coyote Gospel. This is just one of the most thought-provoking pieces of literature that I've ever read, as far as anything, like books, movies, like, or just consumed. Books, movies, films, TV, whatever. It's so good. It's just basically, I don't even want to spoil it, but it's essentially about this wolf thing that gets killed and how it's like in this time loop Grand Canyon thing. It's kind of hard to explain the story for it without like spoiling exactly, just page for page, word for word, bar for bar, what happens. But it's called the Coyote Gospel. And it's just so fantastic. And it basically goes through this guy who's like kind of an interpret. So I think some people say he was like interpreted as being Jesus or some shit. I don't remember. But essentially this coyote has, he always comes back, I think, from getting injured. And it's basically a really fucked up version of Wile E. Coyote. And it's so fucking good. I don't even want to say more. Just read it. It's fantastic. This whole run is just great. And it actually has some of the best art I've ever seen on comic book covers. You cannot go wrong with these covers. They're just fantastic. I think, my goodness, they're just so damn good. These covers, I have some of the individual covers, individual issues of this run, and the covers are just fantastic. I actually, sorry, they're talking back. But essentially, collect this run. Buy this run, Animal Man by Grant Morrison. It's fantastic. Even the Jeff Lemire one is fucking great. I think you should read those as well. But yeah, I'm yapping. That's pretty much all it is for DC. And then now we're going to go into Superman, which I have not too many of, but I do have a good amount. I do have also some of the more, like, essential comics for him. All right. And y'all are going to hate me for some of these I haven't read. Excuse me. So, The Death of Superman. I've always found it funny that when people recommend you to start reading Superman, they tell you to read The Death of Superman. I think it's kind of funny. But essentially, this is Doomsday, Superman having a battle. I haven't read this yet, but yeah, it's essentially the hardcover of that. And actually, something cool about this, it's got DVDs in it. If you can see my camera. I just realized I should be holding some of this up. Oh, fuck, I just got doxxed with that code. But yeah, I don't actually know what these are now that I think about it. What I know these are like a movie or something. Reign of the Superman. Who knows what the fuck that is. You'll never see something like this coming out nowadays. But essentially, yeah, it just goes through that storyline with Superman and how he dies. How he fucking dies. And yeah, I again, it's kind of one of these like quintessential storylines of Superman and just comic book history in general. And I don't know if I can necessarily recommend it because I haven't read it, but I mean, everyone else does, so fuck it. Maybe I will be able to as well. If I'm being honest, guys, I haven't read most of the Superman stuff. That's just because I got so caught up with Batman, and we'll get to those. But Batman's my favorite character ever as far as comic books and just in general. But yeah, this artwork looks great. I think a lot of the dialogue looks intricate. I don't know. I can't really say anything about it because I haven't read it, but I'm definitely going to at some point. And I'll let you guys know what I think. Let me know what you think. Booster Gold is there. Everyone's here. Who is that? Blue Beetle. Mr. Terrific is there. Yeah. Death of Superman. Pretty cool. And we'll move on. Sorry. Another one we have. So, okay. So a recurring theme you'll see is that I like to collect things that people consider to be, what am I trying to say? Like quintessential stories for the character, right? Which is because I feel like you need to get those out of the way. And I don't want to say that like a bad way. Like, oh, I gotta read these. But I want to get to the bottom of the character. And I want to understand the character. And I want to have a baseline knowledge level of it. And then get it more intricate, right? Anyway, Superman for All Seasons by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. This artwork looked incredible. And this is a sealed copy. I've never read it again. But I definitely want to, and I heard a lot of good things recommended to me about this. This is something that everyone will recommend. as far as like a quintessential Superman story. So I'm gonna give it a go at some point, and we'll see what I think, and let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna keep moving because I feel like I'm just yapping. We got something random here. We got Superman: The Man of Steel by Brian Michael Bendis. Never heard of this really. Oh, with art by Jim Lee. Cool. And yeah, I don't really know anything about Adam Hughes as well. I've never heard anything about this. I don't know what it was, but again, I got it it was an impulsive purchase that I saw because I saw Brian Michael Bendis and I got wet, and so I decided to fucking pick it up. Ooh, I might have just moved the camera. Sorry about that. And yeah, I don't know, but the artwork looks cool. I think Superman and Supergirl were in the first couple of issues, and the artwork looks great. So again, artwork is I'm kind of a whore for artwork. If the artwork looks cool, they could be saying some bullshit, and I'll probably like it. So yeah, this is that story. I haven't read it yet, but I think it looks great. I think I'll have to actually. I'm curious to see what people think online about it, because I don't think I've ever really heard anything about this, good or bad. So that could be a good or a bad thing. But we shall see. I like Brian Michael Bendis as a writer, so I'll give my own little 2 cents about it once I read this at some point in my life. It will probably be sometime in the next year. I really do want to read all of these, and I need to. But yeah, that's that. And then we got Superman Earth 1 by J. Michael Straczynski, the guy who I told you guys about that likes to write. That was writing the really highly reviewed Spider-Man story. But yeah, I actually don't read a lot of the Earth 1 stuff. Because I haven't heard anything good or bad about a lot of them. I heard this one is very serviceable. It's like not bad. It's not great, but it's not good. It's good, but it's not great. And essentially, it's another retelling, I think, of Superman's origin story and everything. So I don't know too much about the history of the Earth 1 stuff, but I do know that I own 2 of them. I think there was 3 or 4 of them, if I remember. I don't remember. I got the Batman one. I want to get the Wonder Woman one because I've heard that one's like the best reviewed, if I remember. It could have been. So yeah, this artwork is good. I don't know much about this, what this actually the purpose of these books are. The Earth 1 stuff is, but they're not. They only did a few of them, so they maybe weren't. They probably either didn't sell well, or they suck. I haven't been able to really get my 2 cents on it because I haven't read these yet. But the artwork looks clean, so maybe we'll give this a go. Let me know what you guys think. There's that one. And then again, this is kind of another quintessential storyline from what I see people say to read as far as the character of Superman. And that's Superman Red Son. Again, I haven't read it. This is actually by Mark Miller. Kind of a polarizing figure in my opinion in the comic book industry. But I think he's done a lot of great stuff. I don't think a lot of his Ultimate line stuff that he did with Marvel was very good. Anyway, yeah, this is basically Superman was in the USSR, was crash landed in the USSR instead. So it essentially details that story. I haven't read it. Again, fucking sue me. I'm sorry, but I really really want to. Again, I was going crazy, and I decided to pick up a bunch of Superman random shit that I was seeing. I was sucking up everything. No Diddy. And yeah, this is essentially that story of him crash landing into the USSR and how that changes and how that's different. I've heard lots and lots of good things about this, so I'm very excited to read this, and I'm going to read this at some point, and we'll see how it goes. This art looks great. I've actually never looked too deep into it, but this art looks fantastic. Like flipping through a lot of this stuff is really wanting me to sit down and read it. But I obviously have too much other shit to read. I have a stack of 50 fucking books I gotta read as far as individual issues and other stuff. And obviously a lot of this stuff you'll know, which I haven't read. But yeah, there's fucking Stalin, I guess. Yeah, that's what that is. So cool. Need to read it. And again, something I haven't read yet, but I really want to because it's actually, again, by one of my favorite writers, Grant Morrison, All-Star Superman, with art by Frank Quietly and Jamie Grant. If I'm being completely honest, I've always thought Frank Quietly is not my favorite artist. I don't think he's that good, I really don't like this art style. I think Superman looks kind of corny in this one. It's not for everyone, but I've heard the story is really fantastic. I don't know what the fuck happened there, but I don't. But essentially, this is the, like, if you're ever going to recommend one book to anybody for Superman, it's probably going to be this one. At least the general audience. I think I've read most of this so far. Actually, now thinking about it, I don't think I haven't read any of it. I do remember Superman's dying or something along the lines of that in this version, and essentially goes through the chronicles of him dying because the star is expanding and he's getting more powerful, but he's going to explode. I don't know. He's going to eat too much Krabby Patties and explode, as they say. But I've been meaning to read this for a long, long while. And yeah, it's like, again, one of those quintessential Superman stories that everyone needs to read. And what am I trying to say? And I need to read it. That's just point blank period. Especially now that they're making the movie and that looks incredible. And it's very much inspired by this book. So definitely need to give it a read. I would say that it's going to be one of the first ones I read as far as if I'm going to start dipping my toes into the Superman books. And yeah, there we go. That's pretty much all I got for Superman. And now this is where pretty much the bulk of the story is going to be with the stuff I own. And that's Batman. Batman is my favorite character of all time in comic book history. Him and Spider-Man are like tied. I think it depends on when you ask me, you know. It's like asking what my favorite Kanye West album is. It fucking changes every single day. Or Metallica, you know, whatever. It just changes every single fucking day. But, excuse me. We're going to start off with a bit of a weird story here. We got Batman The Long Halloween, Dark Victory, which is the sequel to Batman The Long Halloween by Jeff Loebens himself. The dynamic duos of comic book history. Essentially, I bought this one thinking that this was The Long Halloween. It's not. This is the sequel to it. But actually, funny enough, I started reading this like it was the first issue, the first one, and I was a little confused because I was like, "Well, what do you mean the holiday or the? What do you mean the? Who was it? One of the Falcones was he the Holiday Killer? I think it was the Holiday Killer." And I'm like, what do you mean Sofia Gigante is now the head of the Falcone Foundation family? And essentially, I was a little lost, you know, but now I'm found because I need to go back and read the fucking first one because that's, again, a quintessential. You'll notice the theme. Again, I hate to keep reiterating that, but truly there's a theme going on that I just like to pick up essential stories for characters that I'm interested in. And no different for Batman here. And I think that the artwork is fantastic. I've always loved the style, man. It's just so amazing. And it's a more grounded, more brutal, more like, what am I trying to say? I mean, a lot of Batman stories are more grounded and gothic and dark in tone. And so I love that. That's why I love Batman, because I love that. I think it's more of an interesting take than the happy-go-lucky stuff that comes out with other characters and other, companies. So yeah, I'm excited to finally read the first one, which I don't own, believe it or not. I'm meaning to pick that up so I can read this and read this one afterwards, because this has influenced so much Batman media that's come out now. But I'm sorry, guys, I need to read it. I know. Now this is interesting. I know what you're saying. You're probably just had a little jolt of disgust right there, and I don't blame you. This is considered one of the worst shit that has ever come out as far as the character of Batman and Robin. The characters of Batman and Robin, which is crazy because it's got Frank Miller and Jim Lee together, a dynamic duo as far as pure star power in the comic book industry. Frank Miller, bro, this guy made 300 in Sin City, and he also made The Dark Knight Returns. Jim Lee is considered one of our finest artists of our time, of all time. You would think, I mean, I'm sure the art is still pretty good. I'm saying that like the art is trash. Nothing hit, because I'm sure it did. Jim Lee, you can't really go wrong. I know some people, he's not their cup of tea, but I personally really, really love Jim Lee. I think this is one of the worst reviewed stories that has come out of Batman, and I think it's for good reason because I remember reading like the first couple of issues of this, and I remember being as bad as people were saying. Like maybe I can kind of skim through here and get to the point that get to the first. Yeah, I think it's around here where he, or maybe it's a little farther back, where he says the infamous line here, and everyone kind of generally dislikes the story. I'm more of a person that likes to make my own judgment for stuff. But this is one of those things where I picked this up. I actually picked this up not knowing that it was so highly disliked. Because again, I'm not a sheep. I'm a shepherd, you know. And so I kind of want to read my own shit with my own basis. Here it is. Yeah, maybe you can see that. He says, "What are you, retarded?" Like, I'm the goddamn Batman. That's so bad. That's not what the character of Batman is to me. And I think it's one of those things, again, like where I needed to give my own basis on it, but I kind of do regret purchasing this. But it's kind of cool for the fact that it's kind of badly reviewed. And I bought it, and now I have it. I'm probably gonna go with the story that it's to have it for collection purposes, but I didn't know the history of it, so maybe I'll finally read through it fully one day and give you guys my honest thoughts. It probably won't be good. We got a sealed copy of Batman Failsafe by Chip Zdarsky. Never read this. Barnes and Noble's exclusive edition. I think I used a discount for this. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't read it yet, but this is an underrated Batman story from what I've heard. And superstar writer Chip Zdarsky joins red hot artist Jorge Jimenez. I actually really like Jorge Jimenez. To define a new era in Batman with their critically acclaimed and best-selling Failsafe arc. Oh, so this is in Chip Zdarsky's run of Batman. That's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm going to read this. Let me know what you guys thought about it. And of Chip Zdarsky's run, which I've heard is pretty damn good. Then we got Batman One Bad Day. This is Clayface. There's actually, I think, one of like fucking 5 or 6 other characters. I know there's one of Catwoman, there's one of Two-Face. And yeah, this is essentially their origin stories kind of in this format, this little book format. This is sealed. I haven't read it yet. But I really like the character of Clayface. Fell in love with the character just for the fact that he can become anyone, which is fucking cool. And he just has a really nasty design, which I like. And yeah, I want to read this, and I want to read all of the One Bad Day stuff because I've heard they're pretty well reviewed for the most part. There's actually a box set, but that's like pretty expensive that I want to get at some point. So yeah, I need to read this because I want to learn even more about this Clayface character because he's got such a cool premise, and he was even in the Arkham games, which the Arkham games are so peak. And yeah, I need to get more in tune with this character. They're also making a movie about him. I think, who's making the movie? Is it? I don't know who's making the movie, but I need to catch up. Anyway, Batman: The Black Mirror. This is by Scott Snyder. I think this is actually Scott Snyder, what he wrote before he did he took over the New 52 run, or it could be during. I don't remember. The Black Mirror launched right into comic superstardom, establishing him as not only one of the permanent Batman writers of his generation, but of all time. Yeah, truly. Scott Snyder, I think, is top 3 best comic book writers for Batman. And he might be number 1, depending on who you ask. I think he's great, but I've actually never read this, so I'll definitely give this a read at some point. Again, I need to stop liking. I'm sorry, guys. And I also need to stop yapping because this video is fucking forever. But I actually haven't heard too much about this as far as what this is even about, but it looks incredible. And I mean, that's Scott Snyder. You can't go wrong. I mean, he's writing the current Absolute Batman. And he wrote this recent story. It was called Duck and Cover, and I fucking love his writing. I think he can do no wrong. He could write a goddamn children's books, and I'd probably fucking read that shit. He's just great. And so, yeah, I have no doubt in my mind that I'll probably like this. Essentially, also because of how highly reviewed it is, and even if it's Scott Snyder, it's highly reviewed, that's pretty much a guarantee that it's gonna get me wet. So, yeah, I'm gonna read this at some point. Jesus Christ, I gotta give news. Speaking of Mr. Scoot Sneeder, Batman the New 52, The Court of Owls. I actually don't know when does this. What is this? This is collecting Batman number 1 through 7. Yeah, so it's just a trade paperback of Batman from the New 52 by Scott Snyder. And this artwork is absolutely fantastic. I've always thought Greg Capullo was such a great artist for Batman. Neil Adams has always been my favorite, but he's up there. Like, Capullo's great. And yeah, I mean, the New 52 Batman is considered like a quintessential kind of like story now, which is awesome because it's a relatively newer one comparative to some of this older stuff, to some of this older Batman stuff. But I really like it. I read this so far, and I've started reading a little bit past this. I love it so far. I think it's great. I think it does a lot for the character of Batman. I think this and then the one by Grant Morrison is considered one of the best ones as far as runs for Batman. And I couldn't agree more. Like, this is fantastic. I love it. I can't recommend it enough. I think if you're going to read anything from the New 52 stuff, read this, read Batgirl, read Aquaman, but mainly you're going to want to read this. And the Court of Owls is such a cool concept of villains, right? That it's like kind of deep rooted into Gotham's history all along. I love it. It's fantastic. Yeah, read it. That's all I can say. Read that shit, man. Let's see. We got, speaking of the Earth 1 stuff, we got Batman Earth 1, but this is by Jeff Johns. I actually forgot that. I'm not too familiar with what this actually is and why it came to be, but it details another origin story for Batman, and it's a whole another take on Batman. I don't know what makes it unique or different other than the fact that it's just a very unique oh God, what the fuck? Jesus, see why this was on sale now, or I got this for cheaper. But yeah, it's just a very different, dark, gritty take on Batman. And that's his suit there, and like you can see his eyes very clearly, which I think some people were turned off by. But he fights this villain early on in this story that has like a sack over his head, which I thought was so sick. I actually don't know where it's at. I think, yeah, so it just details the story of Batman, and I don't know. I haven't read too far into it, but it's a very interesting take on Alfred from what I remember. And I don't know if I can recommend it. Let me know what you guys thought about it. I may or may not finish reading this sometime this year. We'll see. I don't know. Well, who fucking knows? But yeah, I own that. I own that. That's all I can say about that. We got a few more here. We got Batman White Knight. This is by Sean Murphy with Matt Hollingsworth. I don't know too much about this. I think this is the one where, this is the one where the Joker doesn't go crazy and he's reconciling with everyone and stuff like that. I don't think this is the one that's in like a dystopian world, is it? No, it doesn't look like it. But the art looks fantastic. I've heard very good things about this, and I've heard mixed. Have I? I don't remember what I've heard too much about this. But I'm gonna read it and tell you guys my thoughts on it at some point. Maybe I'll do a review on some of these. Let me know if you guys would like to see that. Maybe I can give my own take on it, or my own review, take, whatever you want to call it, for any of these books that I haven't read yet or will read it at some point in the future. Again, recommend me books. Recommend me stuff that you want me to read. I will try my best to pick them up. I'm usually tight for money, but I can pick up some stuff depending on, whatever happens every now and then. So if there's something that you guys recommend to me and I really am interested in it, I'll try to pick it up and give my own review on it. It looks like Mr. Freeze is in this, which I fucking love Mr. Freeze. So I'm definitely going to read this. It got me excited. And this art style is fucking awesome. This is probably going to be one of my next couple reads. Now, if you're looking for an underrated storyline from what I've heard, but I haven't been able to actually tell you if it's something that I'm going to be actually interested in or not, it's Batman Ego and Other Tales. So I remember picking this up because I really wanted a story that dove deep into Batman's psyche, like the kind of more like I guess the more like thought-provoking stuff of Batman as far as like his emotions, right? And I think that's what this is a good example of as far as that goes. And the artwork is great. I think it's fantastic, the artwork. It's such a, it's in cursive. which I actually was having trouble reading from what I remember. I actually remember only reading a couple issues of this so far. And yeah, I need to finish reading this as well. Like, look at this shit. This is fucking fantastic. This is cinema work. Such great art. And I think I'm gonna very much enjoy this. Let me know what you guys think. This artwork is just fucking awesome, dude. I really need to finish reading this, and I'm going to. But this artwork is great. I'm gonna enjoy this. I don't know. Let me know. I'm getting a little tired, so sorry if I'm kind of zoning out as well. But let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna read this, and now we're going into some really nitty gritty stuff as far as quintessential Batman stories. Batman Year One. I have read this. This is by Frank Miller. Great. It's basically chronological. I keep saying that fucking word. I don't know why the fuck I'm sexually attracted to that word tonight. This book is about Batman, and I mean, it's kind of obvious his first year being Batman, but it actually also doubles as an origin story for Commissioner Gordon, and how he actually started off as a cop, and he transferred over to Gotham, and how he's dealing with the corruption of that, and he's dealing with, you know, the commissioner at that time being a kind of a jerk, and him trying to almost get killed, and how he meets Batman, and how, you know, Batman starts off as a character, right? And how he became. So very interesting read. Some great work by David Mazzucchelli. Yeah, he is the penciler, right? Illustrator, yep, David Mazzucchelli, with Richmond Lewis as the colorist, and lettering by Todd Klein. And yeah, so it doubles as this is actually a very good movie if you haven't seen the animated movie of it I think it's from the DCAU. And yeah, so it essentially goes over, again, Commissioner Gordon, how he became to be, how he went to Gotham, his pregnant wife, and detailing Batman's first year of crime fighting. And it's very good, it's very dark, it's very gritty. I can't recommend this enough. Fantastic story. Let me know what you guys think about it. I think if you're ever going to recommend a Batman story, I think this is an automatic lock, as well as another one I have here that I'm not going to spoil, but it's read it. A quintessential Batman story that I haven't read yet, Batman Hush. This is by Jeff Loeb with Jim Lee. They're actually doing a sequel to this, if you weren't aware, in the current ongoing Batman, which I actually am going to read without even having read. You're going to hate me. I've never read Batman Hush, but I've heard some of some of the story synopsis of it, and I'm sorry about the noise. I'm very much going to like it, because I mean, I've already read kind of some of the story of it, and yeah, it looks like it's going to be great. And I need to read this. So yeah, that's all there is to say about it. Jim Lee's art is chef's kiss in this. And it's such a great story. I've actually heard that some people are kind of indifferent about it, which is interesting to me, because I thought this was like a very universally acclaimed Batman story. But apparently some people are kind of whatever about it. But I think that mainly stems from more so the character of Hush himself, more so than like the actual storyline in a way, you know. But who am I to say? I haven't read it yet. I can't give my full kind of take on it. But there's so many great panels in this story. So many great, moments in the story, and I need to read it. Let me know what you guys think about it, and if you're going to be reading the new Hush 2 with Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee actually taking over that reins in the storyline, which is crazy to me. That's unheard of, but yeah, we're going to see about that. And now we're getting into the real meat and potatoes of the Batman character. We'll start off with one that I haven't read yet, but again, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm really just slacking. I'm just a fucking slacker when it comes to this. We got Batman, The Killing Joke. I know you're going to hate me, and this is by Alan Moore, one of my favorite fucking writers ever. But essentially, I mean, everybody knows the story of Batman, The Killing Joke. This is the origin story that was created for the Joker. And I've seen the movie, which I've heard is actually kind of subpar to some people. I actually liked it, but essentially, this is a origin story for the Joker, and yeah, it basically I keep fucking saying that fucking word. It shows the Joker, how he turned Barbara Gordon into Oracle, and his crazy shenanigans in this, and Batman needing to track him down and basically stop him. And it's one of the most iconic storylines that's ever come out. It's very dark and grounded and gritty and gross, which is what I love in a Batman / Gotham story. And let me know what you guys think about it. I've kind of basically got the synopsis of the story. That's kind of why I'm no rush to kind of necessarily read it. But this art is just, oh my god, it's so immaculate. Who does the art, actually? Is it Brian Boland? Oh, shout out to you, Brian. Fantastic art. And I love the darker, more sinister stuff that comes out. So that's why I kind of love the character of Batman, because that's kind of essentially what his character is. So let me know what you guys thought about it. And yeah, one of the most iconic Batman stories ever. And I haven't read it yet. Fucking sue me. I'm sorry, guys. And now we're getting into two of my favorite stories that have ever come out. So we'll start off with The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. This fucking story, I feel like there's been so much that has been said about this book that it's kind of hard for me to really just kind of, I feel like I'm not really adding too much substance into the conversation if I say anything more. But like, it's just so fucking good, guys. Just give it a read if you've never given it a read. Like, it's one of those stories, again, I keep repeating myself all night now, where they tell you to read this book if you're wanting to get interested in the character, or just comic books, or just reading in general. And it is so fucking true. Like, this art is so good. Yeah, so Frank Miller does the writing and the actual art. So that's awesome. And essentially this story is of an old Batman, and he's kind of washed. And it basically is about these people. I think they're called the Mutants, if I remember. It's basically a new gang of groups of mercenaries. They go around terrorizing Gotham, and you know, Bruce Wayne is old and washed now, and it's essentially the story of him and how he needs to come back and save Gotham. And he gets a new Robin, her name is Carrie, and it's the story of that. And it is, like, there's so many iconic moments. There's a moment here where he tells the leader of the mutant group, that he's like, he is this, you know, I am the surgeon and you're in the fucking operating room with me. And it's such a dark and, you know, gritty version of this character, and he's more brutal and not as methodical and not as planned out, but he's just pure brute force in this, and I love it. It's such a great story. I can't recommend it enough. I keep saying that over and over, but I really can't recommend it enough. It's such a fantastic story. If you've never read it, give it a read. You won't regret it. Did that rhyme? That was kind of cool. And yeah, let me know what you guys think about it. It's such a great story. The art is fantastic. It's just 10 out of 10, chef's kiss. Can't recommend that enough. And then now we have, in my opinion, a quintessential Batman story, but I feel like it's going to be kind of a polarizing one. We have Batman Arkham Asylum by Grant Morrison with art by Dave McKean. This is one of those things where you're gonna kind of enjoy it and it's kind of alright, or you're gonna really love it, or you're gonna really hate it, or you kind of hate it. There's just so much divisiveness, I feel like, with this book. I think it is one of the finest pieces of literature that has ever come out, period. Not just comic books, not just whatever, not just superhero genre, books in general. It is such a great story, and I think that about The Dark Knight Returns as well. But yeah, this is just, oh my god, it's called Batman Arkham Asylum, by the way. I don't know if I said that. It's called A Serious House on a Serious Earth, is the subtitle. And essentially, it's exactly what it sounds like. Batman goes to the Arkham Asylum, and it's the Joker. He invited him there, and Batman goes to investigate it. And it is such a weird, and it also doubles as the origin story for Amadeus Arkham, the founder of the Arkham Asylum, and how he kind of had this very traumatic event. I actually kind of want to slow down because this art is just so weird and different and just so... It's like taking acid and you're reading the book without having to actually take acid. Like, I don't just say that just to say that. It is so good. The writing, the penciling, the art, everything is on point in this book. It just fires on all cylinders, which is crazy because I remember hearing, like, look at this shit. Look at this shit. It's fucking awesome. And I remember hearing that this book was, oh, look at that shit, dude. Like, just back to back, bro. Just like, this is LeBron in the fucking 2018 finals if he won. Like, this is just, oh my God, this is so good. Batman just got sexually assaulted here, if you can see that. And that's not funny to laugh at, but man, oh man, that's just, it's such a, oh my God. It's so incohesive, but being cohesive. It's so maniacal, but surface level. It's like, I don't even know what I'm saying, but it's just so goddamn good. And it dives so deep into the character and it's into the characters, I should say, of Two-Face, of Batman, of the Joker, of Amadeus Arkham. So good. I don't even really want to say more about it because I just think it's much better if you go in blind to read this. And the artwork is just so fucking good. I just cannot rave enough about this goddamn story. It is so good. Just read it. Do yourself a favor, go in blind. You will not regret it. It's another one of these stories where, like, if people think that comic books are for children or comic books are you know, more kiddie in nature and they're not, you know, you can't tell serious shit with it, show them this and they will shut their fucking mouth. It is such a fantastic story. And again, the artwork is it's almost so inconcise that it adds to the layer. Like I've always said that people like when I say this, I've always felt like when I read this, I need to take a shower. Like this is one of the first books that ever made me feel like I need to take a shower afterwards. And it's just facts. Like this book is just so fucking good. I cannot recommend it enough. I don't want to keep showing y'all any more art because I want y'all to read it for yourselves and get surprised. But yeah, Batman Arkham Asylum by Grant Morrison. Read it, and Dave McKean in the art. And yeah, that is pretty much all of my books. I don't own any more. It's gonna be an ever expanding book collection. But that is pretty much it. Whew, man, let me see how long I've been recording this. This is a 48-minute video. I think I already did a 30-minute video before that. I apologize for just a long-ass video. But that's pretty much, this is going to be it. I'm going to let y'all go. Thank you guys for watching, and tune into the next video. Let me know what you guys want me to do, read, give me recommendations, like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys thought about, if there's anything I can do with the video, if there's anything you liked or disliked. I'm very open to criticism. Let me know. I have very thick skin, so let me know if there's something that I can do better, do more of. I will read some of these. I already read this one, but read this. I will read some of these throughout this year, and I will let you guys know what I thought. I'll do a better job of not just buying shit, not actually reading it. But yeah, that's the end of the video. I appreciate you guys watching. See you in the next one, and Milkman is out.